deputy leader, but we all hope will not be leaving us entirely. He is without doubt one of the most capable people we have in our party. He has been dynamic in the North in establishing a foundation upon which our future successes in that part of our country will doubtless come. Ladies and gentlemen, our outgoing deputy leader, Paul Nuttall, MEP.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome, and good morning, conference. Thank you, Paul. Well, we did it, didn't we? We did it. We've achieved what we set out to do. We have succeeded in getting ourselves out of this sclerotic, out-of-date European Union. And aren't we getting off this juggernaut just at the right time? Only 48 hours ago, in the European Parliament, we heard the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, inform us that it's full steam ahead for a European army. When Nigel Farage warned of this back in 2014, Nick Clegg called him a dangerous fantasist. Some good it did him. As I was travelling back from Strasbourg the other day, I came across Nick Clegg on television, promoting his new autobiography. Yes, he has crawled out from under that stone which he's been hiding. And they replayed some of his Brexit warnings. He literally just stopped short of warning of nuclear holocaust, a plague of locusts, and the murder of every first child born. It was Project Fear on turbo. It was clear, there and then, there was only one person living on Fantasy Island, and it isn't Nigel, and it isn't us, because we know as a country, we will go now from strength to strength, free from the shackles of our Brussels masters. Absolutely. But we are all celebrating in our own little way. I'm doing it with my Brexit beard, which meant that no one recognised me last night. At least it lasted longer than Nigel's 1970s moustache. Now, on a serious note, we have achieved so much in such little time. Undoubtedly, our greatest achievement has been this referendum. It would not have happened if it hadn't have been for UKIP. In 2013, we pushed the Prime Minister into offering a referendum that he never wanted to give. And why? Because UKIP was steadily rising in the polls and scoring local election wins all over the country. Mr Cameron thought that he could shoot the UKIP fox by offering this referendum, but all he did was simply feed it. The membership began to rise rapidly. We began to speak to huge audiences across the country. Nigel set off in his purple taxi, the length and breadth of Britain. He literally spoke to thousands of people. I did 200 public meetings. In 2 years, UKIP began to catch on. We exploded into local government, and we now have 500 hard-working councillors right across the country. We forced the referendum, and you helped to win it. Brexit is yours. We and you were the foot soldiers. You manned the street stalls. You delivered the leaflets, and you got our country back. You have made us proud again. You will be thanked by the next generation for giving them the power to shape their own destinies. Do not underestimate what you have achieved. Brexit will shape the direction that this country will take in the first half of this century. And what direction do we want it to take? Well, we want to see a Britain that can stand proud in the world, free and independent, a Britain that makes its own laws and has the ability to protect its own borders. This means there can be no backsliding on Brexit. Any attempt to maintain freedom of movement of people will not be acceptable. I want to see us have access to the single market, but not be part of it. I want a Britain that is friends with our European neighbours, but not bossed and dictated to. We want all of our laws to be made at Westminster by people we elect. I also want to see a Britain that looks to the emerging markets of the Far East and Asia and reignites its links with the Commonwealth, which we so shamelessly turned our back on in the 1970s. This can now all be achieved, and it's thanks to you. Give yourselves a round of applause. I stood on this very platform 8 years ago, and I said that I believed that UKIP's future lay as a party of the patriotic working class. Very few people believed me at the time. But it is clear that this is UKIP's great opportunity, where in many of these working class communities, where the Labour Party has dominated for years, they are weak and dying. The Labour Party has lost touch with its working class roots. It is a Labour Party that is increasingly dominated by the views of the Islington dinner party, and a Labour Party that actually sneers at our own flag. UKIP can make great strides in these areas as a party that wants to see firm border control, that wants to see prison sentences mean what they say, that wants to see all children of all classes get a fair start in life, and one that is prepared to put British people at the top of the pile. Now, let me talk about the future of the party and the new leader, whoever he or she may be. I will be frank at this point, because I can be now. UKIP has not been a happy camp for over a year, and the animosity has spilt over into the media. No one has emerged from this with their head held high. The designation process between Leave.eu and Vote Leave created a cancer in the heart of the party and led to its leading lights using UKIP as a football. So much so that at this present moment the party resembles a jigsaw that has been emptied onto the floor. The new leader must put it back together. And this can only be done through talking to people, not issuing empty threats or pursuing internal navel-gazing schemes that will most likely amount to nothing. The opportunities are there. Today is a breakwater in the history of this party. It is a changing of the guard. Both Nigel and I are standing down from the stage. And standing down must mean standing down. The new leader will not benefit in any way, shape or form if any of us attempt to backseat drive. They must be their own person, they must stamp their own mark, and they must take control of every lever of the party. The new leader must be a unifier, not a divider. Seek compromise, bring people together, because as Winston Churchill once said, Giorgio is always preferable to war. They must not lead what the Westminster journalists call a Faragista UKIP or a Carswellite UKIP. They must lead UKIP, a UKIP for everyone. They must ensure that the party is a big tent where all talents are utilised and people are not marginalised for simply holding alternative viewpoints. I have always believed that the barometer of the maturity of any political party is how it deals with people who have different opinions. And this, unfortunately, is something we have failed to do well over the years. This must change, because if it doesn't, and the new leader continues to preside over the infighting we've seen over the past year, then I fear for the very future of our party. This is a great opportunity to put all that behind us, to look forwards and not backwards, to let bygones be bygones. The new leader has a clean slate, and my advice is this: look outwards and not inwards. Be optimistic and positive. Do not get bogged down in internal squabbling, and focus on fighting UKIP's enemies and not on fighting each other. Of course, as Lord Stevens said, there will have to be some form of constitutional reform. I was the first person in the party back in 2010 to talk about the need of a party board, a political board. But I never envisaged for 1 second that this board would not have elected representation from the membership. Do not allow democracy within the party to be taken away. Do not allow the party to become like the European Commission that you have destroyed. It needs to be accountable. My advice is simply this: yes, let's have a political board for the party, but let's also have a national executive that is elected by the regions, a regionally elected NEC. 8 years ago, when I stood on this platform as your new party chairman, we were a party that was not registering in the opinion polls. Our membership was a mere third of what it is now. We were deemed so irrelevant that not one single national journalist actually turned up to cover the conference, which actually, seeing as I've been Michael Cricked outside, probably wasn't a bad thing. We have taken huge strides in that time, and I am as proud as Punch by what we have all achieved. In 2014, we became the first party since 1906 that wasn't the Labour Party or the Conservatives to go on and win a national election. We took 4 million votes at the general election. We got the people the EU referendum, and we have given this country the opportunity to put the great back into Great Britain. It is fitting that it ends for me on the very spot where it all began. My colleagues, my friends, it has been a great honour and a pleasure to have been your party chairman and then your deputy leader for the past 8 years. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for the support that you have given both me personally and the party in general. Never forget, you are its heart and lifeblood. Leaders and deputy leaders can come and go. None of us are indispensable. But you, the membership, without you, the party would be nothing. On that note, it is time to hand over to the next generation. They will take up the mantle. I wish whoever succeeds me as the Deputy Leader of UKIP all the best of luck. I thank you all and goodbye.